Good evening. Welcome to Truth Seekers. My name is Mike Fishkin. Seated next to me as usual is Jay Saylor. As usual, we're coming to you from Portland, Oregon. It's April 4th, 2009, which means if you're watching on the first Saturday in April in 2009, ever, the very first Saturday in 2009 of April, you can call us because there's two lines up there on there, and if you get a busy signal on one, try the second one. And as usual, we show film clips. We've got some new film, which is really neat. The fellow who put this film together was in the military space program as an engineer, and he entered it, he says, I'll mention it in the film, that he entered it as an atheist and an evolutionist, and he left it as a creationist and a Christian, based on the things that he saw relating to the cosmos. And that's what this film is about. It's a new film that's been put together. I just started watching it this week. And this is on the solar system, this first volume. He's planning to come out with some more, and I look forward to that. But I think you're going to enjoy this film a lot as well. Last week, if you happen to be watching, we were talking about the Humanist Manifesto and how over the last 100 years, because of Darwin's theory taking root, unfortunately, with the lack of evidence that it had, really, that many people have worked hard to get rid of any concept of religion or God in the classroom because they felt it was proven that evolution is true, Darwin's theory is absolutely correct, therefore there's no need to have something in the hallway of the school saying, do unto others as you'd have them do to you. They could have used that at that immigration office maybe this past week in Binghamton, and it's a crazy world, and Jesus said that the world is going to get worse and worse towards the end, that because iniquity shall abound, he said, the love of many will grow cold. And Scripture also says that knowledge is going to increase at the same time, at the end, as iniquity and sin and evil is going to increase, which kind of goes against what a lot of academians would tell you. But last week we showed some of the Humanist Manifesto quotes from some of their magazines, that they've got to brainwash, basically, students into believing in evolution and against the concept of God. And then we showed some films showing, as you recall, the extent to which these people would go to, some of them, like with Piltdown Man, which was a fraud, this made-up skeleton of, they filed down a jaw and they made it seem like something different, a link between apes and men, and it was just a total fraud. And it was just accepted for 40 years or 50 years as absolute proof of a link between the apes and men. All the scientists agreed, that's it, that's the link we were looking for, and it's right there, and ta-da-ta-da-ta-da. Of course, you need a lot more links than that, but that destroyed the faith of some people who had weak faith, I'm sure, and kept others from searching for truth, spiritually, philosophically. And yet people just let it go for 40 years. And then they did the same thing with Nebraska Man with one tooth, Jay, if you recall.
Of a pig.
Yeah, and they came up with a whole schematic of the way these people looked from one tooth. Of a pig.
Of a pig.
Yeah, they didn't let you know right away it was of a pig. I think they found that out a little later, but still going from one tooth to great representations by artists of what this looked like. You can't do that with one tooth. But yet, so many people want to avoid the concept of the biblical God who requires us to follow him because he's not going to allow sin in eternity, and he's made our souls eternal, and he's set up a way for us to get there, even though our great mother Eve was deceived and Adam decided she was too cute to let go, so he was going to go right along with her, and here we are passing it on from generation to generation genetically. We've talked about that in the past as well. But let's get to this first section of film, and we'll see how this guy was deceived, and how he mentions that you don't hear a lot about this stuff, and there's a reason why you don't hear about it, but you're going to hear about it from a guy who's in the military space program for a long time as an engineer, and it woke him up when he saw some of this evidence. So with that, we're going to jump to this first section of film. It's about 9 minutes long, and after that 9 minutes, you can call if you like. We'll see you then.
T-minus 16 seconds. Sound suppression water system has been activated, protecting Discovery and the launch pad from acoustical energy. We have a go for main engine start. T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition and liftoff of Discovery, hoisting harmony to the heavens and opening new gateways for international science. Discovery has cleared the tower.
For thousands of years, mankind has looked toward space, but it's been less than a century since we could actually travel there.
Discovery's roll maneuver is complete. It's now in
A few centuries ago, almost all scientists believed in the biblical account of creation. However, by the time the first astronaut launched into space, many scientists had abandoned this history. Many astronomers had come to believe that our solar system and the planets and moons within it formed all by themselves without a creator about 4.5 billion years ago. But what did we find when we arrived in space? Do the planets and moons of our solar system actually support this belief? Or are they consistent with the Bible instead? The answer to this question might surprise you. Welcome to What You Aren't Being Told About Astronomy Volume 1, Our Created Solar System. I'm Spike Passaris, your host. For a number of years, I worked as an engineer in the U.S. military space program. I entered that program as an atheist and an evolutionist. I left it as a creationist and a Christian. In this video, you'll discover some of the evidences that have convinced me, along with many others, that the Bible is true and evolution is not. I'll be your guide as we tour the solar system together. We'll see stunning pictures and movies of planets, moons, and other objects. Some are our next-door neighbors in space. Others are vast distances away. We'll discover that often these objects do not support evolutionary ideas. Many of them appear to be quite young, not billions of years old. In fact, according to the current evolutionary models, many of the objects in our solar system cannot exist at all. Now that probably contradicts everything you've heard before. You've probably been told that evolutionary astronomers have it all figured out, and that their models prove that our solar system formed all by itself billions of years ago. Well, you'll have to hear the evidence and judge for yourself. In this video, you'll discover what you're not being told about our solar system. So let's get started. Before we can talk about how our solar system got here, we need to clarify exactly what the solar system is. When we talk about the solar system, we're talking about our sun and everything that orbits around it. This includes the 8 major planets in our solar system, along with many moons, asteroids, comets, and some smaller objects as well. By the way, this diagram is not to scale. In this video, we'll be discussing all the planets and some of their moons in our solar system. In order from the Sun, the planets are Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto is a special case that we'll be discussing later. Here's what the planets would look like if you could line them all up next to the Sun. In real life, the planets are much farther away from the Sun and each other than this, but I wanted to show you how big the planets are compared to each other and the Sun. By the way, you are here. So where did this system come from? There are 2 competing models for the origin of our solar system. This is a pretty straightforward issue. Either the solar system was created, or it wasn't. In this video, I'm going to use the word evolution to describe the belief that our solar system was not created. This word is often used to describe biological evolution, of course, but astronomers commonly use it in a broader meaning as well. So when I use the word evolution, I'm not talking about plants or animals. I'm talking about the belief that our solar system and everything in it formed and developed all by itself.